Hey everybody, it's Mattie here with Altcoin Buzz. It's Friday, the weekend's just about here. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. We're looking at a few different stories today, including a market prediction of sorts by crypto veteran Mike Novogratz. Luke's going to lay that out for us. He'll let us know what's up with that particular story. Coinbase is in the news. We're going to get Zach's take on what they're doing. There's a lobbying effort with Washington, D.C. that we're going to touch on. We also have news out of Ripple and a big Saudi bank that's joining RippleNet. But let's begin, as always, on altcoinbuzz.io with this big news of the day. It's certainly the biggest story in my opinion. Morgan Stanley planning to step into the Bitcoin trading space. Article here by Luke. So you can add this to the list of big institutional heavyweights. We did talk about the JP Morgan patent before. We talked about NASDAQ, of course, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. ICE, we talked about Goldman Sachs, we talked about BlackRock, Fidelity Investments. Go ahead, add Morgan Stanley now to the list. So, according to anonymous sources, that's the only kind of caveat here, is that it's somewhat hearsay. But according to them, Morgan Stanley is joining Wall Street's race toward an institutional-friendly Bitcoin derivative. An article from Bloomberg reveals that the U.S. banking giant is planning to offer clients Bitcoin trade swaps. If this is actually the case, this would mean that another of the world's largest investment banks is quietly building a product that will allow its clients to trade Bitcoin. And I think that's the way to describe it, right? Is one of the world's largest investment banks is quietly building things up, building up their infrastructure. Kind of like what we discussed the other day with the Prime Minister of Malta. You guys can check out the article here on Bloomberg. Morgan Stanley plans to offer Bitcoin swap trading for clients. This doesn't seem to be a direct product. If it's a derivative-based product, it's more of a financial product. It's not like not that you can physically back a Bitcoin per se, but it's not something that offers Bitcoin directly. That's the only thing that gives me some pause, because that could potentially lead to manipulation one way or the other. At least there's an argument for that. But according to these anonymous sources, quote, Morgan Stanley will deal in contracts that give investors synthetic exposure to the performance of Bitcoin. Investors will be able to go long or short using these so-called price return swaps, and Morgan Stanley will charge a spread for each transaction. So Bloomberg's source claimed that the derivatives are ready to launch, but it's waiting on an in-house approval process and sufficient investor demand before taking them to market. And as Luke writes, if the tip is valid, it would make Morgan Stanley the latest in legacy financial groups looking to open a doorway for institutional investors to enter the cryptocurrency market. I would love to hear your thoughts about this, you all out there in the Altcoin Buzz army. I like the fact that they're entering into the arena. Do I like the fact that this is a derivatives-based product? No, I wish it were something else. But on the whole, I think this is a net positive. Let us know your thoughts, of course, in the comments below. You can also read about this on CNBC. Morgan Stanley gearing up for Bitcoin derivative trading, Bloomberg reports. And of course, we're going to link to all of this in the description below. Let us know your thoughts on the issue. In other news, and also pretty positive, crypto veteran Mike Novogratz calls crypto market bottom. So this is a bit of a market prediction, at least of sorts. Michael Novogratz, I'm sure you've heard the name. He's the CEO of cryptocurrency-focused merchant bank Galaxy Digital LP. So he's predicted that the bottom is finally in for the cryptocurrencies after over 8 months of a bear market. Novogratz, considered one of the premier thought leaders in the crypto space, made his prediction on Twitter yesterday. So you guys can read more about Michael Novogratz, what he's all about, his pedigree, and where he's coming from. I think I forgot to mention that this article is also by Luke. So you could take a look here. In a recent tweet, Novogratz posted a snapshot of the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index, which is a 10-constituent cryptocurrency index that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Ripple, Zcash, others. Michael Novogratz notes that the value of the index has recently completed a full retrace of last year's breakout, which is an indicator commonly used by investors to make predictions. You guys can check out the original tweet here. So Mike Novogratz says, this is the BGCI chart. I think we put in a low yesterday, retouched the highs of late last year, and the point of acceleration that led to the massive rally/bubble. Markets like to retrace to the breakout. We retraced to the whole of the bubble. Hashtag calling a bottom. So that's a pretty bold statement right there. And look, I mean, this guy's not a prophet. He can't see into the future. So take this with a grain of salt. Anybody could be wrong ultimately, but I think there's some logic to the prediction there, and he seems to be backing it up in a way that makes sense. Let us know if you agree, of course. So meanwhile, the market has rebounded. You can read about some of the corrections, I suppose you could say, to the recent retracements we've had. Of course, we've had some very negative sentiment around Ethereum lately. So Luke talks about that, the fact that Ethereum has bounced somewhat. You can also check out our reporting from yesterday and our news piece in which we discuss that in more detail. But we're going to link to this in the description below. Let us know what you think, whether you agree or disagree with Mike Novogratz. I hope that he's right. I'm not really putting any stock in this per se. Look, if we go down another 50%, not financial advice, but I'm just going to buy more. So that's kind of the way I look at things. Let us know what you think. In other news, by Zach, Coinbase's new blockchain association will lobby Washington, D.C. Coinbase has revealed that it will head up a lobbying group called the, quote, Blockchain Association. This group will contain many different firms throughout the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Coinbase is currently one of the largest and most influential companies within the space and is set to continue asserting its impact through this group. So as Zach points out, this news was brought to us by way of Medium that had this post. We're going to link to this, of course, in the description below. A unified voice for the blockchain industry. You can check that out. You can also check out this on EthereumWorldNews.com. Coinbase and leading firms establish blockchain association lobbying consortium. Do you guys say consortium or consortium? I don't know. I'm kind of torn between the two. I never know which to use. So the whole idea here is that the group is going to build relationships with Washington, D.C. based regulators using a, quote, non-profit trade association model. They will have a unified narrative that undoubtedly will benefit them and hopefully the rest of the crypto space. In doing this, they aim to educate regulators and consumers and lobby for regulation that allows crypto to flourish. To be clear, this group is not anti-regulation of the space. Instead, they, quote, welcome regulation when it's appropriate. This is bound to create some debate between the decentralization maximalists and the more traditional asset realists within the crypto space. That's an interesting question to ask yourself just philosophically. Are you a decentralization maximalist, as Zach describes it, or a traditional asset realist? I'm a little bit, I do have a little bit of the decentralization flair in me, but I would tend, I'd say, more toward some kind of a structured approach. And as long as it's not overbearing, I would like certain rail guards in place just to keep things safe and to keep out the scavengers and the scammers. So yeah, maybe a little bit more toward the traditional asset realist for me, but still kind of in a moderate middle position. Let me know what you guys are in the comments below. So they do assert that they are, quote, not trying to game the system, but it's hard to tell at this time. Check out more about this particular issue with Zach's article here. Be sure to leave him a comment as well. Let us know what you think. Of course, as I mentioned, we're going to link to these two sources in the description below. And finally today, guys, another article by Luke. National Commercial Bank of Saudi Arabia joins RippleNet. This could be a big one. This is kind of just getting started, but there seems to be some good potential here. So Ripple has announced that the National Commercial Bank, the NCB of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, has become its latest enterprise customer. Ripple made the announcement of the news on its own website. The NCB joins RippleNet, Ripple's fastest growing global network of banks, payment providers, digital asset exchanges, and corporates. It is yet another big bank that joins Ripple. So Luke goes on to describe a little bit here about NCB's history, which you guys can read about. It seems to be a good move, though, an important one at least. And the official announcement by Ripple states, quote, as more banks in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Middle East connect to RippleNet, their customers, real people and families across the world, will ultimately benefit. For SMEs, small and medium enterprises, and corporations that depend on NCB, more efficient and transparent remittances will provide stability and help them grow their business faster. That has always been the first thing I've pointed to when I'm speaking to somebody, maybe that's outside of the world of cryptocurrency. I talk about the incredible potential of the remittance industry. This is a huge win for Ripple, as KSA is a major player in the remittance world. With the World Bank's remittances data, quote, showing that $308 million were sent into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and $37 billion in remittances were sent from the country in 2016. NCB will be in production on RippleNet by the end of Q4 2018. Big things happening for Ripple in the upcoming months. Definitely let us know if you all are fans out there. I know there's some fans and there are some haters among our subscribers. So curious to know your thoughts on the issue. You can read about it more on Ripple.com here, where they made the announcement. National Commercial Bank of Saudi Arabia joins RippleNet. And with more updates coming, I mean, that's a certainty. Be sure you're following Altcoin Buzz and Altcoin Buzz News on Twitter. We're also on Instagram, Telegram, and Facebook, of course. members of the Altcoin Buzz Army. If you choose to invest, I wish you happy investing. Check out our last video here on the right, as well as our latest articles on altcoinbuzz.io. It's Friday. Enjoy the end of your week. Have a great evening and a wonderful weekend. We're going to see you again soon, hopefully with more good news in the days ahead. Take care.